Welcome to Digital Marketing Intelligence for Shopify Ask the Experts, our bi-weekly live show and podcast that features expert interviews and case studies to show you what to do and what's new in Shopify and e-commerce digital marketing for 2022 and beyond. Ask questions, suggest topics, and grow faster with actionable insights and proven strategies from the world's leading Shopify and e-commerce marketing experts. Good morning and welcome to Digital Marketing Intelligence for Shopify Ask the Experts. I'm Marissa Morgan. I'll be your show host today. I'm also the Business Development Manager at Engage. And I'm really excited because we have some new exciting news for those of you who are interested in really boosting sales, customer experience, and brand loyalty in your Shopify and e-commerce stores. That being said, I'm going to boost our engagement today by sharing our show right now to my LinkedIn post. All right. I want to welcome you to today's show, by the way. Today, we're talking about how a well thought out brand strategy will be the key differentiator for successful Shopify merchants in 2022. I'll introduce you to our special guest in just a moment. He is an ex-Shopify team member, and he also runs a very successful Shopify store. And he's going to join us to share 3 cornerstones to building a strong brand strategy. So don't go anywhere. I'll be introducing our special guest in just a moment. And be sure to stick around because after today's talk and our guest shares his insights, of course, I'll have for you our Engage News of the Week. Every week, we share with you a trend, a piece of news, or a tip. And as our series continues this year, all of our news will focus on e-commerce and Shopify topics. So if you're an e-commerce brand, if you're thinking about opening a Shopify store, if you are thinking about getting into e-commerce with a product, or you're looking to build brand loyalty for your service online, this is the series you don't want to miss. All right. I mentioned the Engage has some exciting news, and we do. We are very excited to announce that on March 1st, we will be rolling out our latest app, which is SMS Marketing for Shopify stores. With 98% open rates versus 20% for emails, SMS marketing is a must-have for any business, especially e-commerce. Engage, we are going to make it so super easy for Shopify store owners to not only increase your sales, but to save time with automations and give you the opportunity to not only promote new products, but create targeted, personalized campaigns with our SMS marketing tools. It is the only app, by the way, that has no code bots, so you don't need coding to run your SMS program. And I think you'll agree that in 2022, brand strategy is important, but so is customer experience. And if you've not yet incorporated SMS into your business, now is the time to do it. And Engage has you covered. So look for that. We are rolling it out on March 1st in just a few weeks. If you're a Shopify owner, give it a try. And to kick off our rollout, we're offering a free 30-day trial to anyone who wants to try our SMS programming, and you'll get 500 free messages that you can start to take the app for a test drive. You can start messaging your customers and see what kind of response you get. Isn't that crazy? 98% open rate for SMS versus email. Pretty incredible. All right, let's get started. I'm excited to introduce you to today's special guest. His name is Brock Shillington. I love that name. It's so powerful. Brock Shillington. And he's from Vancouver Island, Canada. If you don't know who Brock is, he is a graduate from Algonquin College in marketing and advertising. He worked for Shopify for, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. He's a brand builder, and he's really passionate about helping people to sail their own ship. Fun fact, he's an avid rock climber. That's super cool. And he's a proud Shopify store owner with a brand called Let's Matcha. We'll learn more about Let's Matcha, but let's meet Brock Shillington. Brock, thank you so much for joining me and being our special guest expert today. And really, we're kind of going to do a case study today on branding and talk about brand strategy and really get into some of the details of your store, Let's Matcha. Oh, hang on. I think you're muted.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Um,
Boom. I'm like, oh no, we got audio problems. There we go.
thank
We hear you.
you. Thank you so much for having me on. To whoever is watching, I appreciate you tuning in. So good to be able to talk about my experience. It's been probably 10 to 15 years freelancing, building websites on all sorts of platforms. And yeah, I mean, now I'm at a point in time where, my coaching and my mentorship capabilities have blossomed, and I'm able to help people sail their own ships, as I mentioned before. So I feel like I'm in a pretty lucky position. So thank you for noticing me in this big, beautiful world and having me on.
Well, we're excited you're here because, you kind of have experience in two pieces of the puzzle. That being, you have your own Shopify store, and we're going to share that in just a moment. Let's Matcha. We'll learn more about what that brand is, what product you offer, but you also work for a digital marketing agency. And as you mentioned, your background is obviously in um, digital marketing and advertising, and you're helping people not only from a coaching consulting perspective, but obviously through your digital agency as well that you work at. So it's kind of cool because you can give us a take from two different perspectives, the store owner and also kind of from an agency and a consultant perspective. Before we get started, Brock, I do want to let everybody know who's watching. I am live from Minneapolis right now, real time, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. East Coast. Brock is joining us live from Vancouver Island, Canada. I see Corrine is watching on Facebook. She's in Connecticut. Samantha's watching in Minnesota as well. Hi, ladies. Thank you for joining us. If you are watching live, let us know. Drop us a comment in the comment section. Let us know where you're joining us from. This is a live interactive show. And if you have any questions for Brock, feel free to leave those in the comment section. We'd love to bubble those up and offer those questions up to Brock live during today's show. If you're listening on the podcast replay, unfortunately, you can drop us a comment in virtual space and we'll just, imaginarily say hello to you. But I want to thank you for downloading this show and hope you enjoyed today's content. All right, Brock, let's dive right into brand strategy because today we're talking about how a well thought out brand strategy really is one of the key differentiators for any brand, especially any e-commerce brand in 2022 and beyond. To get started, let's talk about what brand strategy is. So what is a branding strategy? Well, a branding strategy is a long-term plan based on a few different things. Identifying your ideal customer, solving a pain point for that customer, that's an important one, and also a marketing strategy to reach that customer. A branding strategy creates a few things: brand awareness, brand equity and or value, and brand sentiment. I think that's important. That's where like the loyalty and like the idea that people relate to a brand, they feel like the brand is themselves. Um, that all makes sense to me. Now, often misconceived, and you and I talked about this, Brock, a branding strategy is not just the sum of your logo, your color palettes, or website, though these creative elements are an integral part of a successful branding strategy. So let's just dive into this and let's kind of relate these ideas about what a branding strategy is. It's this long-term plan to identify your ideal customer, solve the pain point, reach the customer. Let's kind of dive into how you have done that with your brand, Let's Matcha. And before we talk about how you've done it, I am going to share with the audience your website so that they can understand your brand as you talk about it. So share with us a little bit about your product and your service.
Awesome. So yeah, just to begin, Let's Matcha. We've been around for about 6 years. I started it the year after I began at Shopify. We started off importing matcha and just selling small bags to, families around Canada. And then we switched to becoming a wholesale supplier. So now you can find us near the top of Google's rankings for Wholesale Matcha Canada. We supply matcha to smoothie shops, cafes, bubble tea stores, bakeries, all around. So we basically just try to supply the best possible product for the best price point. Matcha is very much something that people often feel has a barrier to it. It's ceremonial matcha. It's like It's just not like coffee. It's different. So people don't feel like they can just jump into it quite as easily, especially when they're making it at home. So
Mhm.
we try to make it accessible without, pillaging people's wallets. Matcha is really good for all sorts of things, including oral health. Coffee gives you coffee stains. Matcha is actually like good for your hygiene. So, our whole preface is just that me and my buddy Eric started it, and we just wanted to make a healthier change for our own lives. And ultimately, we've had the blessing to do it for people all across Canada now.
Well, let's talk then a little bit about your branding strategy. I know, and I'm going to point this out right away, Brock. I know we talked about how branding is not just colors and images and logo, but I do want to point out right away when I go to your website, you have those features definitely already like it's well thought out. I'm already getting a vibe from your website. I'm feeling something. And I think that's awesome. I love the white and the green. I love the way your website is set up. One thing I noticed too right away was the fact that you have here this like COVID-19 update button and how that's one of the first things that I see on the website. I think that's important, Brock, because it lets the customer or the prospect customer know that you're clearly updating this. This is not a website you built 10 years ago, set it and forget it. Right away, I'm like, this company is relevant because they're
Mhm.
addressing changes and things that we have going on. But tell me a little bit about how you found out who your ideal customer was, how you targeted this ideal customer. I'd love to hear really how you were able to set up your, the key features of your long-term branding strategy.
Yeah, awesome. So I won't, take all the credit for myself. A long time ago, I went to a Doodle breakfast meeting in Vancouver, and what they basically do is they have entrepreneurs from all over the city come and they supply you with breakfast, and you hear some conference speakers, and a very relevant and valuable piece of information that I found there was that. Just like a little hack, if you will, is to find your competitors online and go look at their customer reviews. If you go
Mm.
on Amazon, you can see a fair bit about the customers that are reviewing. Each customer has their own profile. So you can kind of gauge the age, what they're into, how busy they are. So you can, find out if you're selling, if you're yeah, so it's basically jumping into your competitors and seeing what's going on in their reviews.
Mhm.
Uh, and you can gauge whether people are busy, whether they've got to drop the kids off at soccer practice, if they're, working on the fifth floor at a Microsoft office, or if they're buying for gifts for family and friends, or if maybe they were a workaholic and they drank too much coffee in their life and it's just time to make a change. So that's predominantly where I started to find it. And then I just really just put myself out there. If you go to the convenience stores down the street from your house,
Mhm.
look at the magazines. See, where your product rests in which magazine and who's buying those magazines. It could be Chatelaine, it could be Fast Company, it could be Reader's Digest. Like who knows? But magazines have always been something that has helped me sort of stay with the times. That whole industry definitely knows, what to write about, what buzzwords to use, and you can see like if there's a healthy article on matcha, or let's say you're selling healthy deodorant, you can see what articles are based around these deodorant ads in different magazines and sort of just get a general lay of the land, if you will. Other than that, I would go out and give samples. I remember
Mhm.
going out to the streets of Vancouver and to different concerts, and I would print off little bags of matcha with 5-gram samples in it, and I would just walk around and just, like, ask people if they had heard of matcha and just give it away. Just had my website, no sales pitch, just, "Here, try it out," walked away, but basically, I would find people that would say, "What's matcha?" I
Right, right. So you definitely, really You were sampling and getting the brand name out there, but you were also educating, I'm sure, because that probably excited you when people asked, because it gave you a chance to initiate that conversation with them
Yep.
and tell them about what matcha is, and then obviously get into some of the benefits. I want to stop right here for a second, Brock, because you brought up a really great tip, and that is obviously visiting your competitor websites, reading the reviews. You can learn a lot from that. And I never really thought of that. I thought about visiting obviously the competitor's website, but the review section or the testimonial section is a great place to find a lot of information about your consumer, about your prospect customer. That was a really good tip.
Awesome.
Um, yeah, that was really good. I want to go ahead for everybody who is listening, pop up some questions that we've put together. And I think you've already started to answer these, which is great. Let's go through these questions together, Brock, in terms of what goes into a successful branding strategy, because you absolutely started touching on these. But we have learned that answering the following questions really can be the first step in drafting a successful branding strategy. So, the first question we believe all businesses need to ask themselves is, what problems will your brand solve? And how will it benefit your intended customers? Second question, who are your ideal customers? Number three, who are your competitors? And as Brock learned, go to their websites, check out their reviews. You can learn a lot. Number four, what personality and tone of voice will your brand have to achieve its goals? So let's just look at this first question together, Brock. So, what problem will your brand solve, and how will it benefit your intended customers? Share with us a little bit about how you viewed the answer to that in terms of your business, Let's Matcha. What problem is Let's Matcha is solving for our
Uh,
audience?
yeah, so just kind of as I mentioned before, matcha has these huge barriers, lots of buzzwords around it. How do you make it at home?
Mhm.
Do you need the traditional whisk? Do I just shake my matcha in a mason jar? There's just like a lot of steps to making like the perfect cup of matcha, as well as often you'll go out there and you'll see these little tiny jars. Probably like you know like uh, like like this, for example. Um, 30 grams for $50.
Whoa.
Right? So people see these price points and they never want to actually like make the healthy change. So basically, the problem that we solve is just giving this healthy nutritional item to the world for a cheaper price.
So,
We
price and convenience, it sounds like.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, as well as
Mhm.
just breaking down how to make the
The
perfect cup of
barriers.
the branding on the back of our package has
Mhm.
the steps to making the perfect matcha. So right when you pick it up, you have directions on the back. You don't have to log into Pinterest or log on to whatever website, YouTube, to search how to make the perfect matcha and get,
Mhm.
lost in all sorts of other stuff online. We try to break it down, make it super simple, make it affordable, and just kind of like cut down the buzzwords. Like ceremonial matcha is this thing that's out there, and people really want to try it. And it's the first harvest of a matcha crop, which makes it the healthiest. And then second harvest and third harvest, and it continuously gets, less and less quality. So we try to get the right harvest, which makes it cheaper and more affordable for people. Second and third harvest matcha can be just as potent as first harvest. So we just try to educate people, and that allows people to feel like they can finally make the step and make their first matcha tea at home or with a friend.
Well, I do want to mention, so I'm listening to what you're saying, and I'm looking right here at your website, and I'm seeing um, the connect. It says right here that you wholesale, right? So for people looking to purchase for their restaurants or their businesses, when you talk about costs, I'm like, okay, great. This company offers the wholesale option. That's going to be cost effective. And then you also mentioned no minimum order size. So as a consumer, if I'm looking to purchase retail, that kind of makes me feel confident that, this company understands. Maybe I just want to buy, a small amount. And then you get into also some of the benefits of matcha and some of the benefits of your brand in terms of product guarantees. Let's talk about like this idea of product guarantees,
Right.
because we know that, as a customer, you and me both, especially if you're looking to purchase a food item, something that you can consume through the internet or through an e-commerce website, there's a lot of questions someone might have, or again, barriers, right? Is this safe? Is it made in a clean facility? Is it going to be fresh? And you address that right away on your website.
Right. So yeah, just value, value, value. What is your USP? When I went to Algonquin College, that's just like one word when that my teachers told me. Shout out Karen and Jake from Algonquin College. Thanks for teaching me years ago. Appreciate you guys. So yeah, just what your unique selling proposition is. So just, and all of these things weren't there years ago. I kept adding them as people would message me customer service questions. So when
Hmm.
it's like this is important, I would put it on my page if it wasn't there.
Mm.
So yeah, what does the matcha do to you? Why is it so good? Why is it good for the environment? As well as what our values are as a company. So if you scroll right here, we get into like what we believe. Part of a strong brand strategy is just to differentiate yourselves and tell a story from uh, like from your competitors. So
Mhm.
we, like I said, I would go out to these festivals and these concerts, hand out matcha, and I would meet the people where they're at. So this is kind of like what I do with the values on my site. I meet people where they're at. The greatest wealth is health. We could probably up the price on our matcha, but we don't. Sorry to my competitors, but just it's not why we started it. It was just like a fun hobby project that went really really well. So we want to be our best selves. We want everybody else to be their best selves. So you really got to talk about your values on your
Mhm.
homepage. Um,
Mhm.
we're pretty aggressive with it. We have a lot of values. And we found that it makes people feel like we are their best friend. That's really what you want when you're going to spend money on a brand. You want it to be like your best friend, a brand that's always going to be there for you.
There's a
So
And there's a few things I like on your website. I see this earn rewards button on the
Mhm.
bottom. So we talk a lot about the customer experience, building brand loyalty. Loyalty programs, rewards is a great way to do that. We just talked about that for our last show last week with I want to say Adam Pierce. And we were talking about customer experience and loyalty programs. That's a great way to retain loyal customers. I saw that. I really like that.
yeah,
And then obviously you do a lot here with brand messaging. You have a blog as well where you talk about the economic impact, history of matcha. Let's talk about, let's just see here. Let me go. Let's see. How do I go back to home? Do I just click on Let's Matcha? Oh, yeah, there it is. Um, I like that also you have this matcha lovers club. So let's
yeah.
talk there about what that is and how has that helped your brand? Like where did that fall into the brand strategy? Because obviously it's a certain type of person, right? A certain prospect who would maybe want to join a club. That's going to be your ideal client. So how did that come about?
Uh, yeah. Honestly, I think this is something that I adopted from Ezra Firestone.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, prominent figure in the e-commerce sector, a very inspirational fellow. But basically, just creating a community around your product, allowing people to come together, ask each other questions, share recipes, share other discounts. I have this basically, it's a Facebook community group. People can share their favorite brands in there. I don't delete them. People can share their favorite discounts. I don't delete them, even though it's under my brand's Facebook page. I don't try to get competitive at all. But I basically create a place for people to come congregate, especially in COVID. People are working from home, people are quarantined, isolated. These groups sort of act as an incubator for Big ideas, and whether that big idea is, how parents with a family of 5 can unwind at the end of the day, discussing, how late is too late to have a matcha, so I don't, so I can get the last little bit of stuff done, help the kids with the homework and still go to bed. Different things like that. So, anybody running a business out there, try to create a community around it. You might not know what that looks like right now, but there's different tools out there, like obviously Facebook or Discord, or you could start your own Slack community. I've seen lots of beautiful, cool ways to do it, and it's just nice to be able to meet friends using technology. So very valuable.
I think you shared some great insights about building the personality and the tone of your brand. And you've done that through everything that you've just shared, not only from sharing like the economic impact that matcha has on the world and how we help these, you know, other countries and their, villages or communities, right, by purchasing their product. But also, you just mentioned how you encourage this community, this connecting over your product and your brand and taking information from those communities to then further, fine tune your branding strategy so that you are really hitting the target demographic. And I like too, this is interesting because, our show focuses on digital marketing, and we always say be where your customers are. But I like how at the beginning of your brand building, which how many years ago did you start the brand
Probably
again?
6.
6?
Yeah.
You talked about actually going out, like guerrilla style to places that people were. And that was, I think before digital marketing, that was how most brands,
Mhm.
connected with prospect customers. I remember working in experiential marketing and doing things for juices and coffees and protein bars and getting out and literally being where the customers are. Let's transition a little bit to modern day. And I say modern day, meaning, fast forward 6 years. We now still say, be where your customers are, but we're often talking about social media apps, right? Being on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or obviously a website. Let's talk just for the last few minutes together. What kind of digital marketing strategy that you're using? What are some of the things that you have found very helpful and successful in building your online e-commerce brand and business? I see, obviously, you've got the website up. You've built a loyalty club. Are you using any sort of email campaigns? Are you considering SMS? What other things are you doing for digital
Yeah.
marketing?
So, one of the biggest ones here, and I'll share it. Is this the right link? Yeah. So just through getting out there and letting people know what I've been doing. Sometimes you'll have magazines and online publications reach out to you and want to interview you. So years ago, I got enough momentum that the Huffington Post reached out to me 2 different times to interview me on the health benefits of matcha. So I got to do that, and that gave me a lot of SEO power and a lot of potentiality to just keep going. So they put a lot of wind in my sails, and that sort of progressed into getting other little write-ups. So a lot of my traffic has been like pretty organic.
Mhm.
We have run Google ad campaigns. We've run some Facebook ad campaigns. Other than that, it's been a lot of word of mouth, really. It's just been a lot of that. I'd say my ad spend is probably, under $2,000 in 5 years, and
Wow.
I generally, this isn't like a huge, huge, huge project, but I'll make 10 grand every year in my pocket, just like doing this on the side on the weekends. Basically, I wouldn't really be ready for monumental success if it happened, just because I'm working for my agency and I have a couple other side businesses. But that's one of my biggest things is just getting backlinks, getting other brands to talk about
Mm.
you, to
Mhm.
share your information. Collaboration is also key. I've collaborated with some local vegan restaurants to do like a matcha takeover night where we would do like a seated dinner, do matcha dusted French fries, matcha
Mm.
tiramisu, um, and so on and so forth. So really just doing projects in the community, as well as donating gifts to different like events, getting your banners up. Our industry, or like I try to go after, kind of like the athletic crowd.
Mhm.
There are those people that are looking to maybe expand their horizons into getting outside. Um, and that's just kind of where I've gone. But hopefully this year we will invest some more and possibly move into a warehouse, and I might hire my first staff member. We'll see.
Woohoo! So you really are. This is perfect. Our SMS program is great for small to mid-size, medium businesses, and you're not exactly a startup because you have a track record of doing really well, but obviously it's like that Dr. Seuss book, "Oh, the places you will go." You have so much room for growth and for potential and market share. You're building a fantastic brand with clear branding. Um, I like that you mentioned that you were interviewed by some magazines and really some bloggers, and this backlink, this idea that, exposure has really helped you to build your online presence because through those interviews and through those, blogs, you've been able to link your website. And even though you're going out and doing word of mouth and events and experiential marketing, I think the key thing and the key takeaway, especially as we continue to pivot into this digital marketing era, you've got a really nicely built website and Shopify store to support all of it that you're
Yeah.
getting from all of your, personal efforts that go beyond digital marketing. You're more face to face. Having a really good Shopify store and website is really key to, supporting obviously your sales and making it a great customer experience. Your website is very easy to navigate, very easy to use, user friendly, clear messaging. I see my order options right away. I'm intrigued by the loyalty um, club, and then you also offer an educational piece as well. So in terms of the customer experience, if I'm getting my matcha, shipped to me, and everything is as great as the website, then of course I'm going to be a happy customer, especially if
Mhm.
ultimately in the end your product is tasty and amazing. One thing that, from my perspective, I would encourage is you should consider SMS marketing. SMS marketing, something we've been talking about,
Yeah.
especially for e-commerce businesses this year, because the open rates for text messages are through the roof. 98% of people look at their text messages daily, if not, multiple times a day. And that's even higher, obviously, than email.
It
And
works
so,
for me for sure.
yeah,
I definitely click on those SMS messages, and it's
right?
it's it's on my to-do list to be,
Yeah. Well, the good news is Engage. We are rolling out our program in March. So if you are like Brock, maybe you've started a Shopify store, you are interested in SMS marketing, definitely check back with us starting in March. I am going to copy this, by the way. I see. I'm going to share with you all um, from Brock a link. I'll share the link on the screen. Do you want me to actually pull this up on a website? Would that be helpful too,
uh,
Brock?
sure, if you want.
Yeah, let's do this
Um,
before we end the show. I'm going
yeah,
to share
and
this.
I'll
Yeah.
and just to like wrap up a little bit, I will say like I couldn't have done any of this on my own. Shopify has been such a great employer and such a great tool for me. But most of all, I went out and I hired an agency to help me with my branding. This all didn't come from this head. I'm a great people person, and I know how to connect with people, but I sometimes the colors and all that type of stuff is not my forte. So don't feel like you have to do this type of stuff alone. You really do get what you pay for.
Mhm.
Reach out for help, ask for help, find mentors to give you tips and advice, whether it's Marissa and the Engage program or something else. Pick up those magazines, and most of all, celebrate your small wins. Don't feel like you have to get everything done today or tomorrow or this week, but write your lists down. Congratulate yourself, give yourself a pat on the back when you get something small off your list, and then
Mhm.
head to the next item. It's not easy to run a brand, and you are going to hit barriers, and you're always welcome to message me on LinkedIn if you want. I'd be happy to throw you some pro bono advice, and just to share what I've known. Even we can book a Google Hangout or something like that. I'd be happy to connect with any entrepreneurs that are watching this show right now.
Great advice. And I like how you said, give yourself a pat on the back. I'm going to add to that. Give yourself a pat on the back and make a cup of matcha when you celebrate a big win. Here's Brock Shillington's LinkedIn for those of you watching. If you'd like to connect with Brock for some tips, some more advice, if you'd like to know more about his brand, it's Brock Shillington. For those of you listening on the podcast, I'll spell that out. It's BROCK SHILLINGTON. Sounds like such a movie star action name, like Sty Stallone meets Brock Shillington in a battle of matcha around the globe. And you can also check out more about his brand at www.letsmatcha.com. And I do want to share, let's just share this. You mentioned the idea that you've been featured for different articles, and this is a blog where your brand is not only mentioned, but obviously they backlink your website right here. So recently I spoke with Brock Shillington, the co-owner of Let's Matcha. He shared more of the health benefits of matcha tea, how to prepare it, and who can drink it. And this is a great way in digital marketing to draw and promote business to your website and ultimately your Shopify store. It gives the blog credibility, right? It gives the blog what they need to get where they want to be. And then obviously you get the benefits of their readers and all the traffic that can be driven to your page. Excellent. Brock, you've shared some excellent tips today. I really appreciate you taking the time to share a little bit with us about your brand, about your experience with Shopify, your Shopify store, and some of your techniques and insights on branding strategy and building a branding strategy. Before I let you go, will you just stay with me while I share our Engage news of the week so I can Awesome. So I can pick your brain on your thoughts for this week's Engage News of the Week. So this week, we're talking about how Facebook recently announced they're making changes in Ad Manager to streamline the ad campaign process. So Facebook has now reduced the number of ad objectives. It used to be 11, and now it's 6. So Facebook is saying in order to effectively guide advertisers to the optimal campaign setups, they've redesigned the objective selection experience when creating new campaigns in Ad Manager. They've moved to an outcome-driven ad experience model where advertisers can select their desired business outcomes. So you can choose awareness, traffic, engagement, leads, app promotion, sales. And the interface will guide the brand to the most optimal campaign setup to achieve that outcome. So you used to be able to choose, and I know you said you've done a little bit of Facebook ads, not a whole lot, but you used to be able to choose up to 11 different objectives for your ad. And now Facebook is optimizing the customer experience, right? What all businesses should be doing. And they're basically taking that selection from 11 down to 6. They're saying, do you want to build awareness for your brand? Do you want to boost traffic to a website? Do you want to boost engagement? Do you want leads? Do you want to promote an app? Or do you ultimately want sales? And then it's helping build the ad campaign around that. Any thoughts on this improved kind of layout? Did you have a positive experience when you did do Facebook ads? Anything you want to share in relation to the news of the week?
Yeah, I think, I definitely wasted a lot of time, wasted some dollars doing my Facebook ads. When I first started doing it, I did it without any help. So this is pretty cool. It narrows down the selections, helps people streamline, their screw ups, if you will.
Mhm.
But it sounds overall like a big time saver.
Yeah.
Now, hopefully, different platforms out there are gonna, update their customer service docs to reflect this in order to, give people the right information. But that sounds like a big win for everybody.
We agree. And that's our Engage News of the Week with a little input from Brock Shillington, also known as the founder of Let's Matcha. Brock, I had so much fun having you on the show today. I want to thank you so much for sharing your insights. And
Thank
of
you.
course, I want to remind our audience, check out Let's Matcha if you're interested. He's based in Canada. Do you ship to the United States?
I don't, but if you message me, I'll shoot you a free sample.
Oh, there you go. If you're interested in trying Let's Matcha, hit up Brock. You can connect with him through LinkedIn, Brock Shillington. Shoot him a message. Let him know that you saw him on Engage Digital Marketing Intelligence for Shopify. And if you are Canada based, I was going to say Canada, but that's definitely not a word. If you're Canada based, you can definitely get his product. Check out letsmatcha.com. Brock, I hope you have the best rest of your week. Congrats on your success with your brand. Congrats on your new position at your agency and all of your experience with Shopify. We hope you have a great rest of your year. And thanks again for sharing your insights with us on digital marketing intelligence for Shopify.
Thank you so much, Marissa. I had a great time.
Thank you. What an awesome guest. It was really cool to hear his perspective, especially as a Shopify store owner, on what he's doing and what he has done to build his branding strategy so that he can be competitive in the coming years. And I think one of the coolest takeaways that I got from Brock's insights and experience is not only look at what your competitors are doing, but literally go look at your competitors, check out their websites, read their product reviews, because you can learn a lot about who your customer is based on the input they're leaving right there in the reviews for your competitors. Bam. Brock is a smart cookie. I want to thank you all so much for joining me for this episode of Digital Marketing Intelligence for Shopify, Ask the Experts. I want to thank our guest, Brock Shillington, and wish him all the luck in 2022 and beyond for his store, Let's Matcha. If you're Canada-based, check it out. He does ship everywhere in Canada. If you are US-based and you'd like a sample, hit him up through LinkedIn or send him a message through his website. That is all for today's show. I want to remind you to join us on this Thursday coming up, February 10th. Our guest will be Luke Smith. We're going to be talking about Facebook ad secrets to give your Shopify stores a sales boost in 2022 and beyond. Luke Smith is a leading Facebook expert and an e-commerce agency founder and director. So he'll be here to share his insights and share his Facebook ad secrets. It's a perfect tie-in because this week's News of the Week is all about the changes in building your Facebook ads. So we'll learn more from Luke Smith. And if you've got questions or topic suggestions for our digital marketing series, please feel free to message me. My email is marissa.m@engage.com. And you can connect with me on LinkedIn. If you have any guest referrals or have friends or colleagues in the Shopify or e-commerce niche, please feel free to send their information my way if you think they'd be a great guest to have on the show. And if you are like Brock and you own your own Shopify store and you are in the e-commerce industry for your product or your service and you'd like to be featured on our show, feel free to drop me a message at marissa.m@engage.com. That's NGAGGE.com. One more mention before I go. We're so excited. Coming in March, we're launching our SMS program for Shopify. So if you have an e-commerce store and you're using Shopify, you need SMS marketing to not only reach your potential customers, but to keep them in the know, to develop loyal customers, to let them know there's new products. You can use SMS for tracking and shipping updates. You can use SMS to send your customers promo codes. If you're not using SMS this year, and into the future, you are missing out on a huge competitive advantage. So make sure you check out and check back with us. You can connect with us on LinkedIn to find out more coming in March 1st of 2022. When you visit us on LinkedIn, look for the rainbow colored cog wheel. And we are NGAGGE, and we are here for all your SMS and Shopify needs. I want to thank you all so much for joining me for today's episode of Digital Marketing Intelligence for Shopify. I'm your host, Marissa Morgan. Look forward to seeing you back here next Thursday. Until then, keep shopping and keep growing your Shopify and e-commerce business with everything you need to know here at the Engage Digital Marketing Intelligence podcast and live stream. Thanks again for watching.